Welcome to hour number 2 of Subtle Admonishments, and this is also Negative Extolations Part 3. We're going to be changing it up next month, and I'm going to quickly pull up on my phone what the schedule is for next month. But next month, this will be the last Negative Extolations training, and moving into December, I don't think I have it locked out, but moving into December 7th, will be our next Negative Extolations training. I'm sorry, not the negative. It will not be a Negative Extolations training. We're changing it up next month. This 2-hour training will be something different next time. It's going to be on a facet of witchcraft, but it's not going to be called witchcraft. There are times that persons who practice craft will speak something negative, and it's called a curse or a spell, but it's a type of negative extolation, but it doesn't operate like a curse because it's not operating on the inside. It's spoken over you, but it doesn't necessarily operate on the inside of the genome. Let me give you an example, and I'll do this quickly so we can get back into our training. Just on Halloween, there was a coworker of my sister's who came dressed up as a character from Harry Potter and had she had one of those little, what do you call it? Like a little wand that witches would have. And she was going around the office. She had memorized some spells from the Harry Potter books and was going around giving the other attorneys and the other paralegals and the office staff. She was putting spells on or over other people. And my sister went around and quickly broke them all in prayer. She said some prayers and quickly got it disbanded. And a lot of people think, oh my God, this witch she's acting like a witch and she's putting spells on people, but it operates a little bit differently. So we're going to be talking about what happens when somebody speaks a spell versus operating a spell on the inside in their seer site. What's the difference between speaking something and operating something in seer site? That's going to be the next training that we work on together on December 7th. And that's not going to be called a Negative Extolations training. I spoke errantly. It's going to be hosted as something else. I don't have the title worked out, but we're going to get there. We're going to talk about the difference between speaking a spell or a curse and actually operating one in seer sight, because there's a big difference. Having said that, we're going to walk right back into our PowerPoint for today. And here's the Father. It was long ago and far away, the world was younger than today. In dreams I escaped and moved into you. Dreams I traveled and swathed and set into you. And dreams I honed and puckered on the inside of you. You can see in the picture here, you can almost see that the top jaw of the crocodile is stable, and it's the bottom jaw that is really opened farther. That is what I really want you to see in terms of the jaw and the hinge system on one of these big crocs, and they are massive. They can actually live on Earth up to 100 years. Now that's rare, but there are many crocs that are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, even 90 years old. After 90, they really start to slow down, even after 80, but they can still live well. They're fat, and if they find a good section of river, because most of them live on rivers in and around the areas. And yes, this one crocodile that Ruthie mentioned was in an area that is close to Mongolia. They are absolutely through Asia. It is true. Even though it can be colder there, but there are sections of that world that are, or that part of the world that are warmer. And it nearly is a different world. And it was long ago and far away, the world was younger than today. And I don't want my children being dominated. And I don't want my children operating in systems of control, because they slay you. They take you on a seeming sleigh ride, but they slay you. They take you on a nice, crisp winter sleigh ride that should be full of fun and frolic and joy and lightness and levity for my children, but they slay you. And I don't want my children being slayed. I don't want you in systems being enslaved. And here's the Crystal Cathedral with my Schulers yet again. And you would not believe who the Schulers actually are. Both Robert Schuler and his son. And they're now out of that system, but the son is still operating other people in a church system. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today, and dreams I escaped and hoisted into you. Dreams I traveled and swathed and set into you, and churches are systems. Churches are absolutely systems, and churches are absolutely systems. And churches are absolutely systems. Where there is an expectation of giving. Where there is an expectation of giving, and where you are expected, especially if you are of the underclass of the church. There are those who expect you to give. I think I told the story recently. It's just a quick fast flash and an insight into an operation of somebody that I have known or do know. Actually, this is a current knowing. But this person was putting their tithes and offerings on a credit card, and the church expected this person to do so. There was an expectation, and this was a female. This is a female. There was an expectation that she keep up with her tithes and offerings, and she felt burdened or operated or expected to host the system in which she was in. And she felt the expectation and felt that she needed to foot the bill and help the church in whatever way that she could. And so she put her tithes, this expectation of 10%, which is in this day and age, that's a lot of money out of somebody's income. It's a lot of money out of somebody's income. There was an expectation to foot the bill. And I'm going to use myself as an example right now. I'm getting caught up on some taxes that I owe. I have had to work on with a CPA my tax returns over the last couple of years. I got a little bit behind because of life situations and, stuff. And now they're being filed and I'm good to go and I'm caught up. But one of the tax returns I owed, I got a refund on one of them, but the refund got canceled out by what I owed on the other one. And I just looked at the CPA and said, I'll just have to add it to what I already owe because I'm already in hock to the IRS and I'm already on a payment plan with them. And I know that I need to line things out, and a lot of people need to line things out differently. But the expectation of how to pay the IRS, especially when you're a self-employed person, and to pay the quarterly tax, it's just a lot of money. How do you do it? How do you pull the money out from when you need to go to the grocery store or when you've got to pay your cell phone bill or you just put gas in your car? Somebody told me in a session just a couple of weeks ago, I've got to go to the grocery store and I don't have enough money to do it. This is another self-employed person who's also behind on some taxes, and there's an expectation to host an entire other system. The IRS in the United States is a ziggurat, and it's a system of dominance. The IRS is an old Tower Babel system, and it's an old ziggurat structure in the United States. And they expect you to pay. They expect you to pay, and they absolutely, in a system of dominance, expect you to pay. And it's been that way, and it will continue to be that way until there's enough people in the United States that stand up and say, no mas, no thank you. We're not doing this anymore. There's an expectation to pay and give and to keep other people in their care and keep. And there are persons who will operate as pillars or posts in a system that tell everybody else from the pulpit or from their staged position that they expect you to pay. Notice who's in this picture here. But Joel and his wife, Victoria, Joel Osteen. And yes, He's a bit of a snapping turtle, and he definitely operates in systems of dominance as they do from their all enshrined media stage. They do. And Victoria, I'd have her posted in this particular picture. I'm the one who put this together. This is not something I pulled off the internet. They operate as a Boaz and Jachin from the stage, and Victoria is absolutely a pillar or a post. And I want to remind you just briefly, let's go back into our trainings from the Blue Bloods. Some of you may remember this, but it is oftentimes the females that are staged around those males, the males that are the most dominant and in the capstone of a power structure and system at the very top of a ziggurat structure. It's the females who are posted and hosted around them, the cosmic witches. And that's exactly what Victoria is. She absolutely uses the Mazzaroth and is staged as a cosmic witch. And I may have to express or explain this a little bit more. But it's oftentimes those females that are staged around the male that are operating as the pillar and post that will demand, they will demand that everybody else pay into the system in order to keep them in their care and keep. Joel and Victoria live in a 8 to 10,000 or maybe even larger square foot mansion. They both drive cars or multiple cars that have been staged for them that are nearly new. And they live in a well-ensconced and well-bred life because everybody else keeps them in their care and keep. And I can guarantee you that neither Joel or Victoria work a 40-hour work week, maybe 10 to 15, if that, maybe, because there's other staff around in Lakewood Church that do all the work, that do all the media, that do all of the sound and the lighting and all the staging, that make sure everything's clean. I would doubt that Victoria has cleaned one toilet in her entire life. Not that I'm saying that a pastor needs to go clean toilets, and I know that there's plenty that do. I know there's plenty that do. But I'm sure that Victoria wouldn't don a pair of cleaning gloves now if she had to. I'm sure she's got staff that work for her that clean her house. Everybody else has to keep them in their care and keep. Beyond church systems, understand this. And Catherine says, and if you don't give them, you won't be blessed, and God will not be pleased. Thank you, Catherine. That is a fantastic point, because that is what they say. If you don't give, you're not going to be blessed. That is true. I just listened to a podcast series about Hillsong, and there was plenty of people that went to Hillsong, and I just listened to another one about Bethel too. They would say the same thing, that if you don't give, you're going to lose your blessing or not be blessed at all. It's true. Beyond, though, church systems, who are the people in your life and world who have operated you in such a way that you have been placed into a position where you are not able to choose what to do with your resources or your time, your energies? Who are the people in your life and world who are staged, who have played you and expected you to pay and pay and pay, and you have not been allowed to pick what it is that you want to do? I want you to think about that for a minute. You've had to pay into something or to someone, and you've not been allowed to operate in your choice and voice and free will, and you've not been able to pick and choose what you want to do. Here's the Father to take us a little bit further. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today, and dreams I connected on the inside of you. Dreams I hearkened on the inside of you. Dreams I lifted on the inside of you. And dreams I literally cushioned on the inside of you. Dreams I tucked and I swathed and I wove on the inside of you. And dreams I literally played on the inside of you. Many of you have been expected to host other individuals monetarily. Host other individuals monetarily and host other individuals monetarily. I love you. I love you. I love you and I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you and I love you. And I absolutely love you. And I love you. And I love you. I was working with a couple some years ago, doing some couples counseling work. And the man had physically abused the woman and shoved her against a wall one night. She was trying to walk her dogs, and one of the dogs got loose. And she chased down the dog and got the dog back to the house. And when she was entering back into the house through the back door area, he was waiting for her, was angry because she was keeping the household up too late with this dog fracas. And he popped her on the butt as she was walking in the door with the dog. So instead of saying, "Are you okay? Did you get the dog? Can I help? Can I do anything?" He literally slapped her on the rear end. She retaliated. She immediately was incensed and angry. And so he turned away from her because he was going to go off to bed now. And she popped him on the butt in return. So yes, it was retaliatory, but he was, and yet and but he was the primary instigator. He immediately turned and shoved her into the wall, kind of chicken winging her. And she literally peed on herself. She was so scared at that point and so horrified. They also had guests in the house that were literally right upstairs, like right up. She was describing this. They were right upstairs from where this was happening, in this laundry area, this mudroom area of their home, the back door entrance. The guest rooms were just above, and they had several different guests in the guest rooms. She was so horrified, she wet herself, and he goes off to bed and locks the door of the master bedroom and locks her out. Bear in mind, there's house guests that are in the guest bedrooms. Now she doesn't have a place to sleep. Luckily, there was a study that was open. They had a side room that was a study, and she was able to grab just a pillow and a blanket, and she slept on the floor of the study. He then subsequently locked her out of the master bedroom for the entire week and wouldn't talk to her. And as she was describing this story in session with me, and in front of him, he acted like this was nothing. Why are we even talking about this? This couple later on got divorced. This was not a relationship that was going to continue. But in order to get out of this situation, there had been a storm a few months before that had come through their town, and it had knocked some shutters and shingles off their house. And there had been an insurance. They had made a claim on their homeowner's insurance, and they had a check that was sitting in her work area, whatever, that was made out to the both of them, but she was going to use it to actually make the repairs on the home. It was a $5,000 check. And in order to get out of the situation, about a week later, she knew it was a common thing with them and a practice, basically, that she would pay her way out of the situation. She literally signed over the check to him so that he could use it to any of the repairs ever get made on the home. Nope. None of the shutters ever got reattached to the house, as she indicated. And guess what? She signed the check over, and he used it for whatever he wanted to go spend the $5,000 on. And then the day that all happened, he acted like everything was fine. How often is it that somebody is expected to pay their way in a situation, or pay their way out of a situation, or when it's time to pay the bill, you just ante up and you just go ahead and pay. I remember years ago, in my earlier 20s, having a roommate that was having some financial difficulties, and I knew she was getting behind on one of the utility bills. And there was an on the wall filing system. You know how there's like something that you would have kept by your phone, like the old types of phones that you would hang up on the wall. It was like a notation place that she kept up on the wall to like flip the mail from the day. And I remember pulling a utility bill out that I could see what was late. And I just thought to myself, I need to pay this just to keep us and this household at the time in care and keep. I don't want to fall behind, and I don't want to have an issue in a month or two, because the bill will double and triple and quadruple as those bills do. And so I went ahead and paid the bill. And how often is it for any of you, you've ended up having to pay the bill? That is just a micro story, because a lot of you have paid hundreds and thousands of dollars in order to keep something in care and keep, and to keep the peace, to make sure that everything's okay. And if you think back to it or think back on it, there would have been or was a subtle admonishment or even an expectation that you pay. I remember feeling expected that because I had a higher paying job and even a professional job as a young counselor at the time, I was expected to host in paying the bills for the household, even above and beyond my fair share and half. At the time, there was just two of us in the house, and it was over half that I paid. How many times in a partnership, a business relationship, an acquaintanceship, or a blossoming business where you are paying over and above what should be a fair 50-50 trade, but you are paying over, there's an overage, and you're always the one, it's always out of your pocket. It's always due from you. And here's the Father, again, to take us just a little bit further. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today, and dreams I escaped and rooted into you. Dreams I traveled and swathed and set into you, and dreams I shaded on the inside of you. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you, and I absolutely love you. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today, and there are systems where begging is a part of the culture. There are systems where begging is a part of the culture, and there are systems where begging is a part of the culture. I, as your heavenly Father, God, don't like this. I don't want begging to be the case, because I want people to simply say, Father God, we give it to you, and we know our monies and our finances are in you, and we know that our care and keep is in you. And I don't want my children being operated for finances. And I don't want systems controlling my children, and where my children feel that the money should come out of their pocketbooks. And this is what happens in ziggurat structures. And if you'll notice, the pipes of the organ in this ecumenical church that are posted above or behind these four persons who are my children, my daughter and my three sons, they operate as another ziggurat. They operate as yet again another ziggurat. And even the pipes show another ziggurat. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I absolutely 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 love you. In a ziggurat structure, it is common for the bottom layers, or especially even underneath the bottom layers. And remember, a ziggurat will pull out or will operate out, sometimes concentrically, but in layers that operate from outside or from underneath or outside of the ziggurat itself. And I'm going to pull up a picture on my computer to show you. We've looked at this one before, but we're just going to refresh together. And again, a ziggurat is a type of building structure that was and is the old Tower of Babel, Tower of Babel systems operate in life and world today. All ziggurats are towers of Babel. All ziggurats are towers of Babel, and all ziggurats are towers of Babel. And I'm going to pull you into a picture that we've looked at before just to refresh. This is a type of building structure that is a ziggurat. And again, it has a strong base and it moves up in sections and layers that are smaller, moving to the top. And there's again a small capstone top. And the top will be where the power and dominance and major control systems of the entire ziggurat operate. Political systems, entertainment systems, yes, church systems, but every system in the United States, corporate systems, community systems, and HOA. I don't care which system that you entertain, a dance company, an NFL team, an NBA team, every single businesses, different organizations, societies, societal structures, cultural systems, communities, they all operate as a ziggurat. Notice just outside of the bottom base of this particular ziggurat, which is an old Tower of Babel, it is a Tower of Babel, all ziggurats are towers of Babel. An NBA team operates as a TOB. A major corporation operates as a TOB, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Paramount Studios in Hollywood. I don't care what company you pick any company, but any company or corporation in the United States, Prudential, insurance company, I don't care which company you pick, they're all going to operate as a ziggurat. Notice outside of the bottom base of the ziggurat, there is a wall. It's the first inner courtyard of this particular ziggurat. There are people of a lower echelon or a lower societal standing or structure that would host in that particular outside area, that courtyard, that are expected to support the ziggurat. There is then take your eye out then from the base of that ziggurat, away from the actual building. There is then an outer fence and then a farther even outer fence. There's 3 fences. There's the internal first fence, a second more far distance fence, and a third even farther distance fence out in the field area. That's what we're talking about here. It is those people who host in those bottom areas, the farmers, the workers. They are the ones that are being delegated to. They have to do the grunt work to support the entire ziggurat. It is those people that pay. It is those people that pay, and it is those people that pay. Here's the Father to take us further. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today. In dreams I escaped and skittered into you. Dreams I traveled and swathed and said into you. In dreams I puckered on the inside of you. I want you to understand as I'm talking to you today about your dreams, that your dreams are about being free. I don't place dreams in my children in regard to operating in a ziggurat. I want you laced out of the ziggurat and out of their latch and control and barnacle systems. I want you away from the crocodiles and the snapping turtles. Barnacles, crocodiles, and snapping turtles work in ziggurat structures every single time. And they expect people who live and work and operate outside of the ziggurat to support the ziggurat. And I want you to think about it. In a church structure and system, who are the people who actually clean the church? They will not be in the higher sector, upper echelon layer structures of that system. They'll even be ones that are hired from the outside or the lowest rung members of the church. Sometimes not even being members of the church. Sometimes being the last in. Ah, you're here to come into our system. You can start by picking up a cleaning cloth. That's how these systems operate. And you're told that you have to gain a higher level of anointing or a blessing or comeuppance in me in order to eventually be staged. And you'll be rendering for decades to do that. Having to play and pay by their rules. And I mean, literally pay by their rules in order to operate into those systems. I don't want it done this way. I don't want it done this way. And I don't want it done this way. That is not love. It doesn't host in me. And I don't provide bigger or more anointings based on my children's obedience. I'm going to repeat it. I don't provide more anointing based on obedience. And I don't provide more anointing based on obedience. I don't operate that way. I don't operate that way. And I don't operate that way. And I don't want my children being treated that way. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I love you. And I absolutely love you. I absolutely love you. I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. All right, we are going to forge ahead in our slide deck. They do stage a show and expect that you stage their stage. We've been through this a little bit, but we're going to go even a little bit further. And they also expect other people to buy tickets to their stage play as they are staging a play. This is again a picture of what? Lakewood Church. This one is empty and this one is full. And I can guarantee you that every single person there, even though it's a free church service, there becomes more of an expectation and even a burden to put money in the plate and to host the staging of this play. And we are going to go just a little bit further. The Father is going to take us further in our understanding because Joel Osteen is a certain person. Joel Osteen is a certain thing. And there's going to be some revealing today about Joel Osteen. And this is the Father talking and not me. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today. In dreams I escaped and moved into you. Dreams I traveled and swathed and said into you. And dreams I honed and puckered and moved on the inside of you. I love 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 you. And I absolutely love you. Joel Osteen is my son. And yet, there is something that he operates in. There is something that he operates in that needs to be made known. And Victoria is absolutely in the know. And Victoria absolutely also understands that Joel Osteen works directly for the CIA. It is true. What I'm speaking to you is the truth. Joel Osteen works directly for the Central Intelligence Agency. This is not Ruthie talking. They procure society and structure. Just like Laurel Canyon, which happened decades ago. They staged Kamala Harris and who will be your President Trump as much as he was or is. And they are the shadow government that run the show. And there are big staged players that play for them. There are big staged players that play for them. And there are big staged players that play for them. Joel Osteen earns the biggest paycheck as somebody who operates on the right or is staged on the right. They have a staging of left and right in the United States, and they fell my children. They fell my children, and they fell my children. Notice there are 4 and not 2. Yes, this is a Boaz and a Jachin, but understand they fell, my children. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today, and dreams I scaped and skittered into you. Dreams I challenged and swathed and said into you, and dreams I hearkened and honed on the inside of you. And I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you. And I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you. And I absolutely love you. I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. And I love you, and I love you, and I love you. And I absolutely love you. And I love you. All right, I need to make you all big on my screen again. All right, I had you in. I was moving some things around on my computer screen. This is an artwork piece that a lot of people would say is a picture or an image of Jesus. And you'll see this very often with a two-fingered salute, I call it. And notice this is my left side. Oftentimes these will be on the left side as it is for this particular, the image of this being or man who is not Jesus. That is not an icon. That is not iconography or an artwork piece or a painting of Jesus. This is a painting of Tammuz. And you'll oftentimes see a two-fingered salute with these particular artwork pieces. We could go on and on and on. In fact, I'm going to pull up another one here. I'm going to stop share and then bring you back in to make sure that you can see this. We could go on and on and on with these. I'm going to make sure that this one's pulled up. It's not, this one's not, there it is. I can't tell you how often I find two-fingered salute iconography attached to pictures and paintings that are associated, especially with ecumenical churches. Here's another one. A lot of people would say, oh, look, it's a picture of Jesus. That's a nice painting. No, 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 no. It's a two-fingered salute. What are the two fingers? Boaz and Jachin. Boaz and Jachin, and Boaz and Jachin, which are the two main strong pillars of Solomon's temple, which is an Luciferian system. Solomon's temple was dedicated to the Lord or to God in name only. And what they're indicating is that, and by the way, Boaz and Jachin are the primary pillars or tenets of Freemasonry. You will see this over and over and over. When I say this, I mean a two-fingered salute on the left, which indicates that they're operating not as just left-hand pathers, as I would say, but we're breaking down some Luciferian symbolism. They operate in and on the left, which is a staged play that opposes the right. And I know that there's about 25 verses that say that we are on the right hand of God and we are at his right side, but understand we're going to know a little bit more about what this is. And I'll have some videos about this coming out on Patreon to explain, because there's a lot when you see this pictorially in paintings and even in represented statues, because it is everywhere. And yeah, it's a common Baphomet symbolism as well, Bethany, you're right, but there's more to it. As much as Boaz and Jachin are represented on the left-hand side, and they're indicating that they are of the left-hand path, there's more to it. Staging on the left and the right is also a Boaz and Jachin, like a political system. You can only vote one of two ways on Tuesday this week. You either vote for the left or the right. It's either black or white. It's either right or left. Everything, there's two teams that are left at the end on the NFL playoffs or the big Super Bowl game. You pick one or the other. When you go to, cast your money and decide that you're going to gamble and, make a play for one team or the other, you only have one of two choices. When you walk into an old ecumenical church, you choose to sit on the left or the right. The idea is, in this stage play in the United States and around the world, you only have one or two choices, one of two choices. The left or the right? It's a Boaz and a Jachin system. It's a Boaz and a Jachin system. And it's a Boaz and a Jachin system. And here's the Father to take us a little bit further. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today. In dreams I skated and scooped into you. Dreams I challenged and swathed and said into you. And dreams I honed and I operated on the inside of you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I love you. And I absolutely love you. I absolutely love you. I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. My sweet children, I don't want you operated in their systems that operate on the left or the right. I know you're at my right hand. That is not of what we speak today. I don't want you operated in a system where, in fact, you are of the right or the left. You are of the right or the left, and you are of the right or the left. I don't want this staged or done or operated. I don't want this staged or done or operated. And I don't want this staged or done or operated. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I love you. And I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. And I absolutely love you. I wanted to provide you just a few more examples in regard to that two-fingered salute where you're seeing a Boaz and a Jachin, where you think, or it's been taught or told or said to you that you're looking at a picture of Jesus, but you're not. You're always or usually going to see the hand pointed to the left, which is of their left path. There's more to it, but I'll leave it there for now. But you're looking at a Boaz and a Jachin. I just wanted to show you more portraiture or more, historic artwork pieces where you see this, and it's oftentimes connected into ecumenical churches. You'll see this. And when I say the word iconography, we're talking about paintings and artwork and statues or sculpture work. We've already looked at this one. We're just going to forge ahead. This is over and over and over and over. You will see this historically. It goes back centuries. In the United States and especially through Europe, it is everywhere in Anglo-Saxon Europe. Oh my goodness. It is over and over and over. You'll see these pictures in churches everywhere. Understand you're looking at an old Freemason system that operates in an old Knights of Templar system. This is old Ziggurat and Tower of Babel stuff. This is old sexual ritual. And I'm going to take you further. And we're now talking about some deep Luciferian symbolism. This is not historical, nice Christian artwork. Look at what's behind this particular Jesus's head. What is that? Ah, the Mazzaroth. That is the constellation wheel. That is cosmic witchcraft at its best right there. That is not Jesus that you're looking at. That is Tammuz. That is the sun. That is a historical representation of the Antichrist. That is Nimrod's son Tammuz. That is the great grandson of Noah. If you go back in your Old Testament history, this stuff all operates on the left. These are those of the left-hand path. By the way, this is another old Freemason. That is another old Freemason hand sign. Oh, look, there's another Mazzaroth wheel behind his head. And by the way, what do A and that, do you see that looks like a horseshoe? That is another Mazzaroth. That is another representation of old cosmic witchcraft historically that operates on the earthly plane. This is old Luciferian symbolism, and a lot of these ecumenical churches are rooted in a history of Luciferianism and Freemasonry. And again, an old Knights of Templar and an old pagan system. These go on and on and on. Anyway, I'm going to stop share. I just was pulling those off of Google, some of those iconographic artwork pieces. I have taken pictures of those around my town and will be at ecumenical churches, by the way. The Church of Christ, Oh, the Episcopalian Church. I don't think I caught any at the Methodist Church. I did go there for a church service last Christmas time. And I still haven't made that video. I need to work on that. But I was simply taking pictures of their artwork just to show the symbolism. And that two-fingered salute, you'll see it everywhere. It's an old Boaz and Jachin. And by the way, what does that have to do with subtle admonishments? They admonish you in those old ecumenical systems where they're literally saluting Lucifer. Tammuz is Lucifer, Tammuz is Lucifer, and Tammuz is Lucifer, saying, I uphold the old pillar system, that in his strength it is established. That is what Boaz and Jachin mean. They literally expect you to pay into their system in those churches, an old Luciferian system where they're upholding Boaz and Jachin. In his strength he is established, and that is not King Jesus or Father God. That is not Yahweh. That is absolutely Lucifer. And here's the Father to kind of wrap up our training for today. And that is a subtle admonishment, by the way, in and of itself. And Darlene is right. Read Darlene's note in chat about the letter A, because she is straight on. That is absolutely correct. Here's the Father. It was long ago and far away. The world was younger than today. In dreams, I scooped and scaped into you. I don't want my children operating under Boaz and Jachin, which is why I want my children out of these systems. Boaz and Jachin are not of me. Boaz and Jachin are not of me. In his strength, he is established, is not me. I am established in my children, and my children are in me. I am established in my children, and my children are in me. And I am established in my children, and my children are in me. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I absolutely 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 love you. And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. And I love you, I love you, and I love you. Once in a while, if I'm flipping through just pictures or, current media, I'll catch a pastor or a preacher or a teacher or somebody like Darlene Zschech. If you know who she is, she's a famous praise and worship singer, minister, whatever you want to call them. But she has put out a lot of albums, like a lot. And she's associated with Hillsong, again, out of Australia. And I think still sings for them or with them. Even though she's independent, an independent labeled artist, she has been associated or is still on their praise and worship team, to my knowledge. And Darlene Zschech was on stage doing this. And I outed that on Facebook a couple of years ago, doing the two-fingered salute to Lucifer. And at some point in time, I'm going to be pulling pictures of other pastors who do this. Saddleback Church, I've caught it. Or Calvary Chapel Church, I've caught the minister doing this. They are not who you think they are. And I'll be outing it on a video at some point in time in the future. I have a lot of video projects, but at some point in time, I'll be outing that. They're literally saluting Boaz and Jachin. In his strength, he is established, and paying an homage to Lucifer. And sometimes it's ensconced in the genome, and sometimes it's absolutely cognizant that this is what they're doing. And I believe Darlene Zschech was wearing at that point in time a black and white, which is also Boaz and Jachin outfit on stage, and it literally matched her finger. There was not just one indicator that I was looking at in the staging that she was paying homage to Boaz and Jachin. By the way, if you go back and look at the lyrics to a lot of her own pen songs, there is an indication of who she plays for, and it's not the Father, it's not King Jesus. I would, and by the way, look at the history of Hillsong. Pedophilia all over the place, with Frank Houston down to Brian, and sodomy, by the way. We know that Brian is a sodomite, as was Frank. But Darlene plays in the capstone of that system, and she's at the top of her game. And she expects people to pay into her own bank account to keep her staged. One of the number one praise and worship singers in the entire world doing this. You are all honored. I love every single one of you. You are all fantastic. We are going to be just next Saturday, the 9th, for the translocation group. And then the next Blue Bloods training is on the 16th. That one is the military industrial complex and witchcraft. That is the name of the training. That will be part 1 in November, and then part 2 will be in December. And that will be right in the middle of December. You know what? That one's going to be December 21st. So November 16th is the military industrial complex and witchcraft part 1. And then MIC and witchcraft part 2 is December 21st. You are all honored. This will be available for replay, and I'll get this sent out to you a month from now. I'm glad you were all here. Go do something fun for you and joyous this weekend, and don't let this information weigh you down. Catherine, you were honored. I honor all of you. Darlene, you're blessed and honored. Look at you. Beautiful, fabulous. And I'll see you all next time, next Saturday, for the translocation group. And that'll be at 11 o'clock Mountain Time as well. Bye, everybody. You're all honored.